This video, I want to explain a simple way you can tell if you are working out effectively to lose fat and build muscle. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jodie and I help you change your beliefs so you can change your body, your health, and your life. So this is something I wish I understood better at the start of my journey, and it is something that takes time to learn, and that is true intensity. What it actually feels like to really push your muscles to the limit, because when you are lifting, you are going to find it hard. It is going to feel hard mentally to keep going, but usually your muscles are capable of more. And when you try and push them to the limits, you'll realize that, oh my goodness, I could do it. And that is what true intensity feels like. That is what is required to get the best results possible. Now, this is given that you understand how to lift and you are confident in your form. I obviously don't recommend pushing the limits if your form isn't good. You need to be controlling that weight on the way down, but then also on the way up, right? You want to be using your muscles and not using momentum or anything else, muscles that aren't meant to be working, to help get that weight up. So it's not about going as fast as possible, and that's a big mistake I see a lot of people making actually, is not actually taking the time to perform the rep properly. It's about lifting with control and then heavy enough weights to actually push that intensity up. And when you do this, everything changes for the better. Now, obviously, the fat loss side of things is controlled by your diet, but training with proper intensity is going to help with the muscle gain side of things, which is really a lot of the work you need to do if you're going through the body recomposition process. And then it's also going to mean that you're using more energy in your workouts to complete them, which is a good thing and a helpful thing for the fat loss side of it. I notice when I'm truly pushing my limits and increasing the intensity of my workouts, my hunger skyrockets. And it's simply because I've used a lot more energy than what I would have if I just kind of went through the motions and performed the reps and was like, okay, that's hard enough, I'm done. Or even thinking, okay, I've increased on last week, that's good enough. Because in a lot of cases, it's not good enough. And it's very easy to get into that mindset of, okay, last week I did squats for 40 kilograms. This week I only need to do them for 45 kilograms, and that's fine. If 45 kilograms still feels doable, then it's not actually enough. And again, remember, it might feel hard to your brain in the moment, but your muscles usually have more in them. Now, I have to note, when it comes to barbell exercises and free weight exercises, again, make sure you are really confident in your ability to control that weight and use correct form before you go pushing the limits. And also make sure you feel safe failing, in particular with a squat. And then if that's the case, start pushing your limits more. So I want to show you some examples of what I mean by this, and something I really recommend you do is to film your sets, not just to critique your own form. You will find so many little things that you can improve if you do film your sets, and you can't see it in a mirror if you're just watching yourself train. And if you're able to watch yourself train, then you're probably not pushing that intensity up, because if you're really pushing that intensity and using heavy enough weights, that is all you are focusing on, is getting those weights up and making sure you're engaging your form correctly and feeling the right muscles. But more importantly, filming your sets is going to allow you to see the speed at which you are able to lift that weight up. And this is what you need to start assessing to see whether you are truly using heavy enough weights and training with intensity or not. If the last few reps do not slow down, if you are able to get them up as fast as the first few reps, then you are not lifting heavy enough. Let me show you an example of my chin-ups, right? So I'm not using weight for these, I'm just using my body weight. And you can see that in the first few reps, I get myself up relatively easy, even though it didn't feel easy while I was doing them, especially that third rep. But then I push for the fourth rep, and you can see that slows down. And the old me would have stopped at that fourth rep, maybe even the third rep, to be honest, because I felt like it was already hard and I probably couldn't get the next one anyway. The new me that understands intensity a lot better isn't afraid to push those limits. I'm not afraid to fail reps. Failing reps is actually a really good thing, because as long as you do it safely, you can know for sure that you have pushed the limits. So I decide to go for rep 5 anyway, just to see if I can get it, knowing that it's okay if I don't. And I pretty much get it. It was like a struggle towards the end. It's not a very pretty rep, but that's what you want to see, right? You want to see that struggle. You want to see that speed slowing down as you lift the weight up. And in the chin-up case, the weight is myself. Now you can also see in my deadlifts, that 4th rep, I almost didn't want to go for it, but again, I'm pushing my limits. The 3rd rep felt fine. By the end of that set, my legs are shaking. And I know with a lot of my clients, when that happens, they freak out. They're like, oh my God, my legs were shaking. I wasn't stable. That's part of it. That means, especially if you're shaking, that you have really pushed yourself hard in that set, which is what you want. Now, you won't always be shaking, obviously, but if it happens, it's not a bad thing. Now, something else that is important to understand just to finish this is that you don't want to be pushing the limits on week 1 of your program. That's the week to kind of get used to it and see kind of what kind of weights you should be using as a starting point. And then as you're building on it week, by week 3, 4, or 5, maybe even 6, you really want to go for it and make sure that you are training with that high intensity. If you do this, I guarantee you will get better results. And if you haven't been getting results, but you've been eating right and your form is good, maybe that's why. So don't be afraid to set your phone up against a water bottle and film some of your sets to double check this. What I always tell my clients when it comes to filming yourself in the gym, athletes do this all the time, right? Like it pretty much means you're pro and you care enough to check that everything looks good, because there's no other way to see for sure unless you have a personal trainer there with you telling you that's the case. So it's like the people that actually take their training seriously are the ones filming themselves. And I know there's exceptions to that with people wanting to film it for YouTube and get views and stuff like that. But it's whatever you make it, right? Like you walk into the gym with the intention to train hard and film yourself to check that you are lifting heavy enough with good form. That's what it is, right? Who cares what other people make out of it? Focus on you and what you need to do to get where you want to go. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please like it. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if that's the case, I will see you in the next video.